My name is Bethany, and this is my knitting podcast. I am located in Kentucky in the United States. I forgot to get a cozy drink this time, which is sad, but you go ahead and get yours and grab your knitting, and we will dive into the progress and the finished objects. There are some surprise finish objects. I was not planning on having them finished or starting them this soon, but here we are. So I'm going to show whips first this time around and move into finished objects because I think it's just gonna flow a little better that way. And then I have two acquisitions to show. They are so great, and I'm really pleased to show them to you. And also, we have the giveaway this time. So I am going to start with my Cala Galdana. I've only done a few rows on it since we talked last time, and I'm a little bit unmotivated to finish it right now because it is a summer top, and obviously it's October, and where I am, the weather is still not October-y. I'm wearing a shirt that says it is freaking freezing, and that's by Tara from Rad and Happy. It's the most comfortable sweatshirt, and I'm just trying to still will the autumnal weather our way. This week there are a few days where the high should be in the 80s still, but I'm hearing tales from people who are farther north than me of autumn weather being around them, and I'm hoping it's just making its way down. So after this week, I'm hoping everything will cool down, and maybe it should motivate me to finish this while it's still 80-ish degrees outside. But the thing that was a little unmotivating was I got a different cord for it for the neckline because it has this really pretty way that it's constructed. And sorry, obviously it's upside down because it's knit top down. And after joining it in the round, I thought, oh, I'll get something a little sturdier than the braided cord that's suggested for the pattern. And in the last month, I have knit an I-cord for the first time. So I'm thinking about doing that, just knitting an I-cord for it. Because it attaches through and then it's supposed to tie in the back. And I got this cotton cord that had like a necklace fastener on the back of it, and I thought that would be cute just to be able to like clip it on, but it was way too short. So I think I might end up knitting an I-cord for it, and then it would be somewhat stretchy and still match, but it wouldn't be, I don't know, the braid for some reason isn't calling to me, but the rest of it is just gorgeous. And I have a lot of stockinette to do, maybe 5 or 6 inches of stockinette to do before I get to the border. And I have other things that have a bit of a timeline to them before this has no deadline, no timeline. This is just for me. So and it doesn't need to be done until the summer. So I was hoping to get it done this summer, obviously not, but I probably will make it my evening knitting soon because that's often what I do with stockinette projects, especially projects, though not necessarily just stockinette projects, but especially projects that are getting big enough that they're not as easy to carry around. I bring stockinette projects, like I'll bring a sock that's on the vanilla portion to church. I love bringing them around. If my husband's driving, I'm knitting in the passenger seat almost all the time. In fact, when I forget my knitting, or I don't know I'm headed somewhere and I leave too fast, that's another version of forgetting my knitting, I guess. I am usually just sitting in the passenger seat, just thinking, I could be knitting right now. And this is just ridiculous. What a waste of my time. So silly, but it's true. And the bunny sweater that I started has made a little bit of progress. I had just joined it. I had just joined the hood last time I showed it to you. And I was just watching some podcasts, and I think I'll do that again a few times to just get the hood done. I want to have this done. I want to have it done by next week. So, this may just be the thing that I work on all the time for a while. I have a couple of smaller projects that I'm going to show you that aren't going to take me very long at all to finish up. And I think after those, I'm just going to focus on this and get this done, because the dream is that my kids and my sister's kids will have bunny hoodies to wear for Halloween. I'm not a fan of all the Halloween things, okay? I don't like being scared. I don't like spooky stuff at all. I love autumn though, and I love the creativity that goes into the costumes and having fun, and I don't think that needs to just be a Halloween thing, but it seems like everyone feels like they're allowed to do that on Halloween. So I really like that. So I need to focus on this and be persistent, because this will be my 4th bunny hoodie that I've knit. And the one thing that is starting to get to me a little bit is the yarn is a cotton. Oh, I didn't even say. Cala Galdana is by Kat from Heather and Hops. And this yarn, that orange yarn, is baby llama yarn. And it is just so pretty and fluffy. It's just so squishy. And I don't think the camera even picks up how fuzzy it is. It's pretty fuzzy. It's yeah, there you go. You can see it now. It's pretty fuzzy. And it's very soft. It is by, I don't have the ball band in here, but it's by Juniper Moon, and it's their baby llama yarn, and I forget the colorway name, but I will have it down in the description box. In fact, I will have everything that I talk about down in the description box, because that's how I do things, because I am a link nut. When someone talks about something, I want to be able to find it, and so yes, I will link all those things. And this is sugar and cream yarn, cotton yarn. And so I think these hoodies are going to last so long. They're so sturdy and they're really great, but they are getting a little hard on my hands. There's some cotton yarn at my local yarn store that's just really soft. And of course, that's one of the things that's great about a local yarn store, because if you're looking at all cotton yarn, right, like 100% cotton yarn over here and 100% cotton yarn over here online, there's no way to know how those feel. And even with wool, even with alpaca, even with mohair, I feel like unless you can feel it, it's hard to tell if you're going to like it. So anyway, once I finish this one, I think I'm going to switch to the softer stuff from my local yarn store. We shall see. It's really great. It's called the Cumulus yarn, I think, also from Juniper Moon. I'm just falling in love with them. They're pretty great. But I have the yarn for this, so I'm going to use it and take it easy. Take it easy. take it easy on my joints when I need to. And I did learn, I think it's a version of flicking where you actually hold the yarn with your right hand, that's silly. You hold the yarn with your pointer finger on your right hand. So it's not continental. I've tried continental and I'm still not positive if that's something I want to continue trying. I do know that with, I've heard that because changing your knitting style will also most certainly change your gauge, you should probably just have one project that you do one style with and another project you do another style with. And I haven't started a project with a different style yet. And so I need to do that, I guess, so that I can work my hands differently when I need to. I have been struggling with some pain in my shoulder. I experienced several physically traumatic experiences. I don't know, car accidents and some just being in gymnastics and a lot of other sports where my body was hurt a few times, and so I'm pretty sure my spine is jacked up. And so in Indiana, I have this amazing chiropractor. If you're in Indiana and you want to have an amazing chiropractor, his name is David Evans. He is at Pro Wellness Chiropractic in the Noblesville Fishers area. He's the best chiropractor I've ever been to. I love going to him. Every time I go back to Indiana, I go to visit him. And I haven't found one that I like here yet in Kentucky. I go to like this walk-in place that's a fine stopgap, but yeah, not quite. So I've been trying to take it slower with knitting because it actually is affecting my shoulder poorly when I do a lot of knitting and I'm not mindful of how I'm sitting or how tight my tension is, things like that. So isn't that silly? I remember when I first started watching knitting podcasts and I would hear knitters talk about their knitting injuries, and I was always just thinking, that's ridiculous. Like, how could knitting hurt you? But the repetition of the same movement definitely can. So, and that is another reason why I want to try a new knitting style. So here are the surprise finished objects. They are 2 pairs of things, and so one of them is done and the other one is what I'm working on. So I talked to you guys about how I stole my mother's mittens when I was in college. Just straight up took them because I thought, oh, she doesn't wear these and I really like them. And she probably did wear them. Anyway. She was probably just thinking, where the heck are my mittens? So the yarn that I won at the knit night that I attended, I made into this flip top mitten. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's so cute. And you can see there's like little flecks of yellow in it. There's one there. There's one over here. This is probably one of the warmest things I've ever had on my hands. It's so lovely. And this part of the mitt has like a little eye cord on there. And so it buttons there and then it flips over. You have your mitten. I don't know how I feel about this being on the end like that. I've been thinking about if I knit the mittens again, if there was something I would adjust about that so that it could still button, but and not be on the end. But I don't know. It's very cute when it's unbuttoned for sure. And I'm still thinking about, I'm obviously going to knit the other one exactly the same, but, and there's this little cable pattern. It's just a 1 stitch cable pattern where you cross over here and here. It's a pattern from, oh no, where is it? From Vanessa Ewing of Kraemer yarns. I think it's a paid for pattern. So it's for a worsted weight yarn. So what I did is the alpaca that I won at the knit night is a level gauge something, I don't know, weight, a 3 weight yarn. So this is the alpaca that I won. It is from Juniper Moon Farms. Wow, just take that right off of there. And it's baby alpaca in the colorway cornflower, and it's just so soft. And what else was it? So you can see it's got a 3 on here, right? 3. And then I have heard from other knitters that alpaca, after it's blacked, stretches quite a bit. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be true to the size that I knit it in. So I paired it, since I needed to level up to a worsted weight thickness anyway, I paired it with a super fine 75% wool, 25% silk. Yeah, extra fine merino wool and silk blend. And this is, I'm going to hide my face because then it'll focus better. This is the name. That's an H, I believe. Is that an H? No, that's an A. It's an A at the very top there. I do not trust that I will say all of that correctly, so. But it's beautiful. Of course, I showed you guys the cornflower colorway last time, and it's like kind of losing its mind right here. So there we go. There's that cornflower colorway, and then this is an indigo colorway, and together they have just been beautiful. I have really liked the way they've worked up together. It's really given this a little bit of a marled effect, or even variegated a little bit. And I have finished the cuff on it. I did a provisional cast on. You guys know I love the provisional cast on. Love it, love it, love it. If you are scared of the provisional cast on, you should watch the tutorial by Very Pink Knits about the provisional cast on and how to do it without having to pick up crochet stitches. It's fabulous. So because this is a double layer here on the wrist, it's very warm, very nice. And so I just finished that double layer, and the mitt part of it knits up so fast. Obviously there's a pattern on the flip top part, and so that actually I think takes me the longest to do. But I was surprised at how fast the mitt part knit up. But that makes sense because this is a 4mm needle, and this, like, the mitt is like less than the size of a sock, or maybe about the same size. And I'm using a 4mm needle, and I usually use a 2.5 on a sock, right? And I'm doing worsted weight as opposed to fingering. So it just is so much faster, and it feels great. So I keep feeling myself being drawn towards this project because it just feels like I'm getting so much done so quickly. So I was going to give them to my mother for her birthday, but I think I'm just going to give them to her because I don't think a birthday gift that is technically restitution is the greatest idea. So that's that. I have really enjoyed knitting that. It's just so great. So it was not last time, but maybe the time before that I showed you Janie's birthday rainbow socks. And my son has wanted some orange and blue socks for a long time. So we ordered this orange and blue. Isn't it really great? It's self-striping orange and blue yarn from Mint Rain Hand Dyed Yarns. And she has an Etsy shop on there. And this is her Tough Sock blend. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's in the Ravenclaw colorway. So when I searched for orange and blue yarn, this Ravenclaw blend came up, and it's just so nice. Now, one of the things that I love about this is I was planning on just knitting them up in the orange and blue, but he came with me to my local yarn shop, and I said, hey buddy, do you want to pick out some yarn for your socks for the toes? I said for the toes, heels, and cuffs, right? And he goes, yeah. And he ran over to the little mini skein thing that's by the register, and he picked the brightest green. It's almost neon, guys. It's like this highlighter green, and it's also losing its mind. Wow. So I didn't do the cuffs in it because and this is the first sock. Holy moly, isn't that just wild for your eyes to take in? So I did the orange and blue. This is an afterthought heel following the Crazy Sock Ladies afterthought heel tutorial was so great. I've tried a bunch of new things this time around. On the mittens was the first time I've done a twisted rib. That's in the cuff. And I actually did a regular rib on the inside of the cuff because I just didn't want to do it anymore. But the twisted rib, I've never done a cable before, and that was on the, it's a small cable obviously, but I've never done that before. Never made mittens before. Never done an afterthought heel before. But Kay from who is the Crazy Sock Lady, she does this marvelous tutorial on the afterthought heel so that there's nothing in there that is gonna have a gap or anything at all. Oh, I'm gonna listen for my baby for a second. I think he went back to sleep. Okay, maybe I am being too loud. So I love, not only do I love the provisional cast on for the mitts that I was doing, because I heard from Dan Jones of the Bakery Bears that he, as a younger boy, used to put his wrists under cold water when he was hot to cool himself down quickly. And I thought that makes so much sense because your circulatory system is like right there, right? Like you can see, at least for me, I can see the veins that are right there. And so it can cool you down really quickly. So the mitts are just so warm because they're keeping the wrists so warm with that double layer. But then with kid socks, I feel like having a provisional cast on is really great because when they pull on that edge, then it's a little bit tougher, I feel like, for that. So anyway, I did a provisional cast on again because I'm obsessed with it. And this is the beginning. So I'm gonna, you can see I dropped a stitch here and I just picked it up because I'm not worried about it. He's in love with these socks already, so it's not a big deal. I did not end up doing the cuffs in the green like I had said because I want him to be able to wear them without my brain caring about anything. So when he has his shoes on, it'll just look like a regular sock without it being like and if I were not doing an afterthought heel, this is actually where I would put it in, is in the middle of this blue stripe. He told me he wanted short socks and I said okay, because he was specific that he did not want long socks, and I said all right, that's fine. And they are great. I'm sure I'll have them done by the next time we talk. And what's great about striped yarn for the second sock is I was able to match up these stripes pretty well, and that means that I can just count my stripes before I need to measure anything, which saves so much time. I don't know if you're a compulsive measurer like I am, but I'm always afraid that I'm gonna have to go back because I've overshot my knitting boundary. And there's not really anything you can do, right? Like you can't put a stitch marker in midair and once you reach that, you know you're done. It's not how it works. The mini in here is by, I am gonna find it. It's by the company that my local yarn shop carries a lot of their minis. And it's called Knitted Wit, and they call them their 20-gram gems, Knitted Wit, and it is in the colorway Shamrock, and that's just so appropriate. It is such a bright green, it's so bright. But I believe that the color combination, the idea behind it might be like a combination of Blippi and Minecraft. I think that's what I was thinking. I asked him about it the other day and he said something else about the green. I'll have to ask him again because I said that reminds me of the Minecraft green, and he goes no, and told me something else, and now I forget what he said that it was for. But it was, he's just, I love his brain and how he thinks, and so this is his, these are his choices. Classy with a splash of green there. And oh, and I finished on time, by the way, my first ever test knit. Now this is the part that gets a little wonky, right? This test knit turned out beautifully. You need to go check out the pattern. It's by Katie Anders Knits. That's her Instagram name, Katie Anders Knits. And I will link the pattern below. It's such a cozy sock, okay? And I'll show it to you here on my new vintage sock blockers. I got them from Etsy. Someone was, I think, getting rid of some things. Obviously it came with two, so there's one here, and they're made of cedar, but I'm wondering if I should drill some holes in them so that they will, if I actually use them as sock blockers, then they will dry quickly, or if I will just use them decoratively and get a set of wire ones to actually do the work. But back to the sock, the Snowy Day socks. It's a paid for pattern. I was able to test knit it and it was lovely. What's great is if you're not a fan of the provisional cast on, you don't have to use it for this. You can just use whatever cast on you want. And obviously if you're doing the double thick cuff option, you just pick up your stitches. This color work here is I used the Huoso sock yarn from my local yarn store, and then the purple is the Gothic Queen from the leading men in fiber arts yarn. And I just love it. Doesn't it look like a snowy day? I think it's great. So here's the thing. The pattern was written so well. It was not hard to understand, but I think it really does do justice for test knitting and why people test knit. And one of the things that we talked about during the test knit in our group was how to grade the pattern, and everybody agreed it should be an intermediate pattern, just because this business takes some experience, takes some skill, and I didn't have that skill the first time around. So I'll show you my first try because I am a tight knitter, friends, tight knitter. So I tried it the first time around, and after I had finished the color work and the heel and the heel turn, after all of that, I tried it on and I couldn't fit it over my heel because I had knit that color work so tightly. And I had heard people talk about tension with color work, and I thought, oh please, it's not that big of a deal. This is fine. It is a big deal. And had I tried it before I did the heel flap and the heel turn, I might have just ripped it back and tried again. But by the time I got to the heel turn and tried to try it on, I realized I would have an easier time starting over, like finishing this and just starting over with a whole new sock. So these little socks, guys, look at these little socks. The reason the foot is so short on these socks is because I actually, that morning, that in the evening is when I realized my mistake, and I just put it away and went to bed because I knew the problem wasn't with the pattern. I knew it was with how tightly I was holding everything, and because you can barely see the purple in there, friends. You can barely see it. And I knew that that was my issue, and I needed to be able to do it justice. And so I went to bed, and the next morning I lined my kids up on the couch and saw whose foot it would fit over. And daughter number 2 was the winner, and so I just knit from here to here. I had actually finished the gusset decreases. Now I'm remembering. I had actually finished the gusset decreases before I tried it on. So I just went straight into, I probably did 2 or 3 rows of stockinette and then just went straight into the toe to be able to fit the length of her foot. It's so wide on her foot. It's so wide. Like, it's obviously meant for my heel. And so but she loves them. She wears them constantly. And I'll suggest putting on some socks before we go out, and she'll go, "Where are my knit socks, Mom? I need my knit socks." So what could have been an absolute and utter failure on my record, she is just turning into this, my light must be out of battery. She's just turning it into this totally redeemed situation, and I just appreciate her so much for that. I was surprised because she has asked me for a pair of red socks, and I just recently got the yarn for that. I'm surprised it looks so good. I use that light because the colors don't look right without it most of the time. But this red I got recently to be able to knit up her pair of socks that she requested. And so I was almost thinking that I would finish the sock and be like, here's some socks for you. And she'd be like, they're not red. But she didn't at all. She was grateful, and she keeps, like, I had to actually wait for her to go to sleep so I could take them away from her and wash them. And you can see that the purple bled onto the white there, and I think that's just because I threw them in the machine. I didn't hand wash them first or anything. And so with my real sock, I'm going to hand wash them first. And probably hand wash them forever, because this stitch definition is just so pretty and I'm in love with it. I think it's so great. So I need to knit the other one, but successful test knit for socks just means you need to knit one. And I did. Like, I finished the toe. Guys, I finished the toe 30 minutes before midnight on the day that it was supposed to be done. But it got done on time, so my overachiever perfectionist self was able to sleep that night. So yeah, so what everybody says about color work is true. I'm gonna try, I've heard that knitting your color work inside out, so if you're doing your circular needles, you would just be able to see your work on the inside of like the tube you're working on, right? So you would still see everything fine, but your floats and all of that would be on the outside, and so it would be easier to keep that tension right. So I think I'm going to try that next time, because it looks like a great idea. I actually frogged my secret low crop. You can't see, this is the color correction, that's not right. We'll try it one more time. This is, there it is. This is the Holstgarn Super Soft, and it's, the colorway is something about the mountains. No, it's called Tundra, which I don't really understand because it's green, but it's beautiful and I love it. And I'm going to keep it for the Unwind cardigan that I'm going to be making. I also ordered some Let Low Be for that, and it's just going to be the warmest thing in the world. I'm really excited about that coming in. And I'm excited about frogging that because it wasn't the right yarn choice for that project. And I'm glad that I decided to frog it before I finished it. Like, if I made myself finish it and then it's like, it still wouldn't have been the right yarn for that project. So anyway, yeah. So here is the last bit that we're going to talk about. And, oh wait, no, sorry. The other thing I got is a Swift. Guys, it's lovely. It's lovely. If you have not, if you haven't yet given yourself permission to get a Swift, like, this is so great. I'm going to unscrew that a little bit. Look at that. Look at that umbrella-ness. Isn't that so great? I love it. I used it on the red yarn back here, and it was so much faster, right? Than me having to slowly unwind a hank of yarn and hope that it doesn't get untangled. Anyway, it matches my ball winder, which if you follow me on Instagram, then you've already seen that. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle for Instagram and Ravelry are also in the notes. I love winding yarn. I love it. It's therapeutic. I love it. So I said I would do a giveaway for this episode, and I am. And I am putting the winner in the description box as well, because I don't have the way to like edit it right now. I will eventually be getting that capability back, but this is just a one take, one hit wonder thing that I do. Because I have no video editing, I was going to say ability. I'm able to in my skill set, not with the tools that I have. Is that, yeah. Anyway, so I put together this project bag just like how Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears taught me how. And it's got this honeybee honeycomb lining on it, and it has these honeybees with their little hives and flowers, and it's a drawstring bag. And I love this braid detail. I like that trim a lot. And it also will come with this green mini skein. Oh, there's a little string on there. Mini skein in the colorway Cedar from Knitted With. That is from my local yarn shop. And also I thought, since this bag isn't necessarily autumnal, it's just cute, I would throw the stitch markers I showed you last time with all the autumn leaves and the little pine cones from their safety pin. I would put those in there as well. So if you are the winner, then I'm sure you have a message from me somewhere. Probably if I'm able to find you on Instagram, I'll be doing that, and I'll put it in the description box below because I forgot to pull it before I record it. So congratulations, whoever you are. I'm really excited for you. It's a cute, cute bag, and I could not resist. I also made one for myself. It's super cute. I made a mistake on the seam allowances, so I just put it together with these leather closures because I accidentally sewed the ends of what should be the drawstring portion into the bag. And I didn't realize that until the bag was finished. So it's very cute. And it's also a project that could have been a failure and is somewhat redeemed. And there we go. That is the end of what I have to share with you today. I'm going to be trying to focus on things that are that have a deadline, but also there are some things that don't have a deadline that are just really bringing me joy. So I wanted to bring your attention, wanted to bring your attention to a couple of podcasts. They're audio podcasts that I've been really enjoying, especially while I'm driving. One is called the Make Good podcast from the ladies who run, Karen and Jessica, who run the yarn store in a Northeast state that I always forget. Is it New Hampshire? And their yarn store is called Scratch Supply Co. So you can look both of those up. You can look up the podcast and Scratch Supply Co. So Make Good Podcast. All of that on Instagram. They have 2 different Instagram accounts for those. I really love it. If you're a nerd like I am, you will love the knitting history episode. Also, there's a podcast called I Thought I Knew How, and oh no, I've forgotten her name, but the woman who does it is going through the Master Knitter program, and it's fascinating, and she shares all the things on it, and I have absolutely loved it. And she also kind of offers this knitter's blessing at the end of it, and the first time I heard it, it almost made me cry. And she says, may you be blessed with yarn without joins, stitches that never drop, and plenty of time to knit. And I was like, thank you. So honestly, I just love hearing her say that at the end of each podcast, but also the information and the sharing that she does is very helpful and informative. So I'm excited to send this project bag out, guys. It's super cute. And I will eventually finish things that I have here. But I've also realized that as knitters, a lot of times things get set aside for a minute, and that's okay. And I remember hearing other knitters talk about that, about a project that they've had in the works, or even in a bag, like not in the works, for a couple of years, and thinking, that's insane. How can you let that lack of closure be in your life? But I get it now. Because there has been zero progress on the blankets these last 2 weeks. Barely any progress on a couple of other projects, and that's okay. That's okay. We can make progress on what we want, and the other things will still be waiting for us. So I hope you have a great next 2 weeks, and I will see you next time.